probably not growing.
It is, because you don't get anything unless it's growing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sometimes
It'll start beeping with flesh and doing something.
They wouldn't be up there then.
no, well, it must have been Boxing Day. But they used to play tennis at Hawkhurst.
Yeah, I remember them sort of coming up beside the house or two of them.
Yes, well, I remember we were all looking, I think you were
Stay.
here, we were looking in the pantry and watching Uncle Norm put the Scotch and eel all round.
You're here.
He couldn't
I
find
know, I
lipstick,
don't know how long
so
I'm stay with you though.
what a mess he made. There's a photo of
That's
it.
large. That's the same yet. What would you
Joe
try?
got the brown, I suppose he's seen it. Or Cyril, because Cyril might have it.
Well, should we move on to Auntie Al?
Yes.
Will you hear from Norman's family?
Oh, have we got Norman's family first, have we?
Norman next.
Oh, Norman next.
Auntie Al was the oldest.
was the second.
Auntie June.
Auntie June was the eldest, that's right. That's right, she was too. Auntie June and then Auntie Al and then Uncle Norm was.
Anybody here from Uncle Norm's family?
Yep.
Yes, right.
On. Ah.
Well, I can only say just sort of just what Noel said, more or less, of our partnership for a start, as far as I can lay up Bruce.
How old would they have been then, right?
Well, we both got married up from there, I don't know.
24.
They must have been 28 or so when they were married, I think, when they, and a bit further.
Hey?
I'd say Dad was 28-year-old or so when he's married. I'd say so.
Had a lot of fun before.
I bet you was
Remember they used to go down south? Remember they used to go down south for their holiday? He used to go down south for his holidays?
That was way later.
Well,
Yeah.
Dad was married before the
Dad had been
in 19, or he was in camp when the war was, finished. He was, well, Earl was born in 1914, I think. Somewhere,
And I think I was 1970, wasn't it? No, he wasn't. He wasn't much younger.
No, the year two.
Married in 1913.
That would be right, yeah.
Yes, Earl was born in 14. He's 80 in a few days' time.
That is correct too, yeah.
80 in a few days, something.
Earl.
How many, wait, 2 days' time?
A few days.
23rd.
Well,
23rd of August.
23rd.
Yes,
So not doing
what year was your father
all
born?
around their patch.
What year was your father born in?
Some days you got cold,
You've got memory right?
What year was your father born? You wouldn't remember it, Ron?
Occasions, not dates.
In our Norman. When was he born?
26th of February 1887.
87, so 13 and 14, 27. He was about 27 when he was married, roughly. Around. I think Dad was around about 27 when he was married.
No, all I can, partnership, I think, for a start, one night was before, they milked cows, there was depression on, and they more or less, more black, not dairy cows, but,
Station cows.
station cows, they got them in and milked them.
Remember that?
And they had to pull them into the bales and all sorts of things.
Leg wrap them.
Leg wrap them, I don't know. It's a hygiene. I don't know about what they got first grade cream or not, I don't know about that.
Whipped cream, wasn't it?
I don't know, I don't like have butter or cream
That's right, you don't.
now, so I mean, whether I got sick of it something then, I don't know.
I remember during the separate, they used to separate.
And the yards were very muddy, well, naturally, dairy stock and other all mixed up there, and they had stilts to go out in the mud, around the yard, up about 2 or 3 feet, and go around it in the mud to get the cows into the...
Yes.
Was that just for fun?
Oh, no wonder the others would be in the mud.
No, I don't know about that. But I know all those stilts cream away. I mean, there's an old can down the Wyeth brothers down the back of there now.
Still there, one of the old,
It's not rusted on the bottom. I'll show it to you sometime.
Remains of
Yeah.
it.
Wyeth brothers.
Yeah.
The first car your father had was a Briscoe, wasn't it?
Yes.
Briscoe.
Yeah.
One big headlight.
Briscoe, 3 lights.
Eh?
3 lights.
3 lights, was it? I know there's one in the centre, I know that.
Yes, one in the centre up there and 2 down there.
Yeah, I do remember.
Where were they made?
Briscoe.
Briscoe.
Wire wheels.
Wire wheels, that's all right.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen them?
You mean on a gig or something?
No, no.
Were they imported from England or?
No, on a cow. who's
Oh, must have been.
on here.
No, it had to be second hand, like it.
Well, that's what they got. Oh, yeah, it must have been important.
But I know, getting a puncture, I remember, you know, that was a performance, getting the nuts and that sort of thing. Once they were playing it, they were going up to Alfred to play tennis or something. And about Coperon, I don't know. I remember Dad doing his nan and going to go home and to hell with it. And, you know, but, you know, he did get the gear out. And we did get to Alfred. And yeah, we went, no, to hell with it. But anyway, they got up there, I think they enjoyed it. That's when they got there.
I've never heard the name of that cow. You've never seen one since? Or, I know it was a Briscoe, I know that much.
They used to have great fun with their gigs and their horses. They used to race each other home. I heard many stories.
Then the sheep after that, wasn't it?
Yeah. They bought that new, about £400, I think, that old sheep cow. A lot of money for one.
When they left
Yeah,
up home.
it was quite a money.
And once we were living at, well, the trains used to come through, steam trains. Always, fires would start all up the, right up the railway line, or just about Opacky. We were on fires, the whole area there, different times. And one particular time, we just about got out of hand and got right up to the veranda of the house opposite, you know.
Was that across the fields? Across the grass?
Of course, from the, started by the railway.
Yeah.
In the dry summers when we see really brown, didn't we?
Yeah, of course. Profit, of course, you profit makes you really
I remember staying with my mother on holidays, and, you know, we'd sit and watch the trains go by, you know.
Yeah, that's right, somebody,
Your father was always on deck.
somebody had to always stay home, you never go, you know, somebody with the neighbours, you're organised.
I think you were away, and we sat out on the road,
Yeah.
sat waiting for the train.
Yeah, stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I know,
Every day they had to go out there, they were living in the little house
A
out
little
front, you know.
indication up in the middle.
And he said you had to
With a
shovel
line
the
through.
snow away to get the door open every day. She was just, you know, just every day just went on and on and on. So I said to Mike, I said, one of these days we'll make it to repeat. You know, we haven't had these sort of things for so long. It's just, we haven't had these one down. They Becky even for years, did we?
No, at Mount Breeze when we were there, there was a fire once, you know, the timber, you know, all got going and, I don't know, lightning started or somewhere, I think. And I know my mother, they picked up, started getting gear together and all that sort of thing. And anyway, it rained or something, you know, before it. But it got all the spark. I remember sitting inside the kitchen window there and the sparks are just flying all over.
Over the top like that, yeah.
Yeah, I can remember that. We were living down at Rosebank, of course, and out at night, so I'm sitting up on the bank and...
Yeah, you see spark, you know.
The dad was getting ready to get to...
There was logs all over the country those days. The logs were there, just had a half rotten ready to burn. Each fire that went through just burned a little off sort of that, didn't it?
Above the house at Mount Mercy, Rodney's house, all the terraces are all ablaze with logs and that sort of thing.
Do either of you remember any mention of the founding of the Wyeth stud? I had two dates. One of them was 1882. I thought, having founded the Wyeth stud, that both Norm and Tom would have had some of the offspring, as it were, over the years.
No, they're never in sheep, they were never together on that sort of, it was only flock sheep, you know.
There was a Wyeth stud.
It would be over
Is there, is
deeds.
there?
Would be over
Yes,
deeds.
apparently found that I had two dates, and one of them was 1882.
No, it wouldn't be over deeds.
Founding of the Wyeth stud.
No.
There was no Wyeth.
No.
Never.
Studs in the wire apple.
We'll never have known of anything. They started running from all Bedford in 1930.
Is that right?
That's
It's
it.
about,
That's
When they all sold out over there.
That's went out to the Wyeth.
I would never have heard of any of this.
Yeah, that was number one stud anyway.
I don't think grandfather was ever very interested in sheep, really.
No, just a sheep.
I'd say he had a manager on, or somebody looking after the stock, somebody looking after his sheep, or the boys did one or the other, but I don't think he was really a sheep man. I don't think he was. Do you think he was too? I wouldn't have thought he ever.
Well, it might have been down south, of course.
I think that's where you find
Could have been down there, but I don't think there was any.
No, that's all right.
Well, shall we move on to Auntie L?
And loneliest. The last and loneliest.
Well, Tony, so much has been told of family and that it would be difficult to say much without it being a repetition, more or less, I suppose. But we started off after Mother and Dad were married, went up the Mungadreary Valley to Rocky Hill. And some of you may have been up there, but literally the hill behind the little house was all rocks. No wonder it was called Rocky Hill. Very dangerous too. In order, I suppose, to wipe off some of the mortgage or something, Dad took up a mail run in the 1912 Model T Ford from Masterton right down through Gladstone, Longbush, right down to Ruakok-Batuna daily. I think he had a driver with him too, and he had two 1912 Model T Fords at one stage. He would arrive back, winding up the road in the Mungadreary Gully long after dark at night, and Mother used to be nearly beside herself with us two little, with Ethel and myself. I was just a little babe, more or less. And it was one of the reasons, I think, why they sold up and went out to South Carterton on a 10-acre property opposite the Dowfield Road. And Dad took a job with old George Tyler, blacksmith, wheelwright, etc. In Carterton, biking 2 to 3 miles up and back each night and morning. Then they went to Pembroke Street, and he kept that job. Went to Rexwood Street and leased the whole lot of, at least up to about 30 acres. We hand milked 30 cows. He went to work on the bike down to Broadbent's orchard. Mother, I can see her now turning the separator by hand, 30 cows, mind it. And the milk was put out the gate for the lorries to come and pick up. The cream was put out. I can see her turning the handle of the churn, making butter, and then the handle of the butter making machine where a roller thing went up and down and the butter, doing it. Walking up the road with baskets full of eggs to the grocer's shop and so on. However, that didn't last too long because the worker, the orchardist, Broadbent down by the Royal Oak Hotel in Carterton, didn't pay Dad any wages for about 9 months, I believe it was. But Mother wouldn't hear of him going on the dole. This was in the Great Depression years. Not that she was a proud woman, but she didn't want sort of to stoop down to that somehow. I don't know what it was. And so she took 3 mile boarders into this little house that we were renting at the time. And Ethel and I went out into the paddock in a calico tent and fly. And in the southerlies and the frosts of Carterton. But we made ends meet, and then shifted over the road, and Mother had been winning points prizes in the shows for floral work, so she went to Wellington to the floral studio of Rosemary Black and learnt florist work and set up business as a florist in Carterton, bouquets for weddings and whatnot. They would be about 21 shillings. Wreaths, you could buy wreaths for 7 and 6pence upwards, quite a big thing like this. But it paid off. And Dad continued to work for Broadbent. And
Did you get paid then?
he was paid then, I think, yes, he was. And Ethel and I went to college in Masterton, 5 shillings a week for each of us on the bus. Dreadful sum of money to waste on education for 2 kids, but never mind. They saw it right through. I remember Mother ringing Grandma regularly, 1416 Masterton. Anyone else remember that?
I remember that.
Yes, and catching up with all that was happening, because Grandma, being in touch as she was with all the ones up your way, Marston way and that here, Mother caught up regularly with the news of the whole family through Grandma. And she was very much a mother to the whole family, Grandma. You know, it was tremendous age really in which we live. And Grandad was too. I would suspect that none of the family ever called on them without Grandad bringing out, wrapped up in a newspaper, a parcel of beans or peas or whatever. He had a wonderful garden and everyone seemed to benefit from that. The Model T Ford was a great convenience, of course, to us, but it was a big embarrassment to Mother. If it wouldn't start and Dad had to jack up the back wheel and get out and swing and handle that, she would be sitting there getting so cross. And if we got a puncture on the road, gravel roads of course in those days, going up to Hawkhurst or wherever, stop on the side of the road and he'd put his overalls on because it was all dust and that, and change the tyre on the wheel on the car, as you know, 30 by 3 1/4 tyres I think they were, and she would be sitting inside in the car getting crosser and crosser about this jolly car. And when we went into Rosebank one day, I remember Dad went in a little bit too quick, or the level of the water was a bit high on that creek, was between the road and the motor stopped. And she sat there just getting madder and madder all the time while he went out into the water and cranked until he got finally going. And it was a source of great embarrassment to her. But there we are. You mentioned the snowstorm that your dad's had there. I recollect a photograph that we had of Grandad with a shovel, shoveling snow at the back veranda there in Lansdowne. It was all of this thick, I think. So possibly it was the same snowstorm that you mentioned.
I'm sure it was
1980.
Yeah, I'm sure that was the year, the big one up there.
I remember that
Yes.
Dad saying that Auntie Al was the most daredevil one of all the girls. If there was anything high to jump out of, like our loft at home, Auntie Al would do it. None of the other girls would, but Auntie Al would. She was always the most daredevil of the girls, and if you wanted anyone to do anything, Auntie Al would do it. Always was.
That's really a bit of news, Peggy.
Yes, no, well that's what my father used to
No,
say. Auntie Al was the daredevil one of the
Oh,
girls.
she was very friendly with, well, the name's gone just now, and broke it off, and Grandma and Granddad sent her to Australia for a holiday. Can't think who it was.